I went to boarding school because my dad was in the services and he didn't want me chopping and changing school every couple of years as he and my mum moved from one RAF station to another. I used to tick off the days to the holidays with mounting excitement. Well, with just 2 or 3 weeks to go to Christmas holidays, I wonder how many children and parents are doing the same today. And I wonder what their hopes and fears are for the new term starting in January. The pandemic's torn into virtually every aspect of life these last couple of years, from the ultimate loss of loved ones to the mere irritation of not being able to meet up with friends for a regular drink. Many businesses have been disrupted, others have been lost. And our health service, from GPs to operating theatres, has been turned upside down as medics wrestle with the coronavirus. But for schools too, it has been a constant drip feed of disruption. Shorter hours, full closures, online learning, bubbles, whole classes sent home because one child or even just a teacher tests positive. Tricky. While failed businesses may rise from the ashes and the NHS find better ways of doing things in the future, for our children, there is no fresh start. Education's a little bit like a conveyor belt. It just keeps going. But our children are only 7, 8, 10 or even 18 once. If they miss a part of their education, teachers can offer extra lessons, out-of-hours learning and stuff to read and work on in the kids' downtime. But that in itself is disruptive to a child's development, where downtime is important too. Time with friends, with family, or just, as we said on mental health earlier, chilling out. And for teachers also, the victims of disruption, it's a burden. A burden many embrace, but let's be honest, not all of them. And heads, or school leaders, have to organise it all as they try to keep their establishments afloat. Then along comes Ofsted to see how they're doing. We've had reports, and I've shared them with you, of unsympathetic episodes and brutal assessments. Some, I'm sure, merited, others, well, it made me wonder. So what is to be done? No simple answers, but as we inch to the end of this calendar year and the midpoint in the school year, we thought we'd ask. My own view is that it is one of those really rare occasions where a fundamental rethink might just be worth considering. We have a new team at the Department for Education, a thoughtful chairman of the Education Select Committee in Robert Halfon, and a brilliant prescription for catch-up from one of the country's leading educationalists, Sir Kevin Collins. Let them all sit down as soon as possible and seek what they might just agree on for 2022 and beyond. Aims, objectives, and identifiable outcomes. And with those outcomes to hand, urge and urge again the Chancellor of the Exchequer to find the money that Sir Kevin said would give the largest number of children the best possible chance of being back on track by next year. Also, embrace parents and guardians in the debate. There is a mighty network of parent-teacher associations out there. Also, engage with school leaders and teachers themselves. Whether the teaching unions are up for that is a matter for them. But I know beyond the unions there are many formal and informal groups outside the realms of organised labour whose sole objective is to make education better for the largest number of children. And as for Ofsted, the guardians of standards in our schools, it really is time to think again. And it's not just Tony Breslin saying it online, it's an awful lot of you. The greatest possible licence, I think, should be given by Ofsted for the experience and the disruption of the pandemic. But much more than that, they should work with schools on what needs to be done to make them better. Now is not a time for an unsympathetic and sudden arrival, any more than it is time for a nod and a wink hint that they might just be along next week. Be ready. And yes, I would put what teachers teach and how they teach it on the agenda. The world is already different, and the pandemic has added new and complex variables to the life these youngsters will face when they emerge into it. And the best possible practices in teaching shouldn't only be available to those who can pay £30,000 or £40,000 a year and more. They should be available through colleges and universities to each and every child in each and every school. So, a bit of a fresh start then, and as soon as possible. My challenge is 200 words, please, write on only one side of the paper, and I'd like your answers by the end of term. And with that, I'll ring the bell for break time.